بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إنك لا تنادي فهبوا يا بني قومي أسودا أعيدوا للدنا أمجاد عصر وفلوا بالحديد لنا القيودا.
Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making this video, and as you can see from the title, it's a very specific topic. The title of the video is entitled Surah 9, and we're going to be looking at two specific verses which many haters tend to take completely out of context, not only of the actual text of the Quran itself, but also from the historical background, and furthermore from the concept of how to view the Quran as a whole. And we'll come to this in more discussions later on, if in this video and in other videos I'm going to make in the near future. Now, the first verse I want to look at is Surah 9 verse 5. Now, if you're an avid user of the internet and you are a Muslim or someone who likes to study Islam, you know that this is a verse that is pretty much used by all haters unanimously to make Islam, or try and make Islam, look like it's some sort of evil, maniacal religion that's hell-bent on world domination and bloodlust. And the verse, basically, we're going to look at, I'm just going to read the verse by itself, and then we'll look at the context. Now, Surah 9, verse 5, just reads by itself as the following. It says, "Then when the sacred months have passed, then kill the pagans wherever you find them, and capture them and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in each and every ambush. But if they repent and perform prayer and give charity, then leave their way free. Verily Allah is oft-forgiving, most merciful." Now, many people, haters will take this verse and they'll go, look, the Quran and Islam is teaching that Muslims must therefore fight and kill all pagans. They tend to take exception to some translations. Of course, if you have a literal translation of the Quran, you'll know that this verse is only speaking about pagans. But of course, most haters do not, I'm not saying that it's a requirement whether you're a believer or not to fully understand Arabic, but they don't even go to the next level and even check up what the Arabic is connotating. It's very easy to get a copy of the Quran that fully gives you the Arabic word and it tells you what it means. But most translations that I own say pagan, and that is what the Arabic term is connotating: someone who is an idolater, someone who is a pagan. We'll get on to the context in a moment here. But they take this verse, like I said, completely out of context and say that this verse is implying that Muslims should just fight and kill anyone who is a quote-unquote unbeliever, ignoring the language. First and foremost, this is incorrect. We know the language is connotating a pagan, and the context will prove this even further. So, for the hater to say that this verse is telling Muslims to kill all unbelievers, i.e. all non-Muslims, is of course their ignorance from ignoring the language itself. But the context will prove my point further, because in verse 1 it says, "Freedom from all obligations is declared from Allah and His Messenger to those of the pagans whom you have made a treaty." Verse 2, "So travel freely, O pagans, for 4 months, as you will, throughout the land, but know that you cannot escape the punishment of Allah, and Allah will disgrace the disbelievers." Verse 3, "And a declaration from Allah and His Messenger to mankind on the greatest day, that Allah is free from all obligations to the pagans, and as is His Messenger. If you, pagans, repent, it is better for you. But if you turn away, then know that you cannot escape from the punishment of Allah, and give tidings, O Muhammad, of a painful torment to those who disbelieve." Verse 4, "Except those of the pagans with whom you have a treaty, and who have not subsequently failed you in aught, nor have supported anyone against you. So fulfill your treaty to them for the end of their term. Surely Allah loves the pious." And then it's verse 5. Verse 6, "And if any one of the pagans seeks your protection, then grant him protection, so that he may hear the word of Allah, and then escort him to where he can be secure. That is because they are men who know not." So it's very easy to see from the context that the verse, that the Quran is implying that the treaties are severed with certain pagans. Verse 4 is very clear to assert that the pagans that are exempted from this from the severing of treaties are those pagans that have not actually failed or betrayed the Muslims. Going further, we're going to show that the Quran itself explains which pagans are to be fought. Verse 7 says, "How can there be a covenant with Allah and with His Messenger for the pagans, except those with whom you made a covenant near Mecca? So long as they are true to you, stand you true to them. Verily Allah loves the pious." So that verse right there is again illustrating God is saying, how can there be a treaty with the pagans except for ones that stay true to you? Verse 8, "How can there be a covenant with them, that when you are overpowered by them, they regard not the ties, either of kinship or of covenant with you? With good words from their mouths they please you, but their hearts are averse to you, and most of them are rebellious." So that verse again says that these pagans are what? They are trying to overpower the Muslims. And that how can there be a covenant with them when they don't care about treaties or covenants? Let us go down to verse 11, which says, "But if they repent and perform prayer and give charity, they are brethren to you in religion." In this way, we explain the evidence in detail for people who know. Then verse 12 says, "But if they violate their oaths after their covenant and attack your religion with disapproval and criticism, then fight you the leaders of disbelief, for surely their oaths are nothing to them, so that they may stop evil action." Then verse 13 says, "Will you not fight a people who have violated their oaths and intended to expel the messenger while they did attack you first? Do you fear them? Allah has more right that you should fear Him if you are believers. Fight against them, so Allah will punish them by your hands and disgrace them and give you victory over them and heal the breasts of a believing people." So right there, the full context is showing who are the pagans that are to be fought. The ones that attacked the Muslims first, who violated their oaths. Now, we go back to, let's skip down now, we'll come back to another verse, but verse 36 is one that puts the nail in the coffin for this verse in particular. Again, this verse, as we are told by the majority of classical tafsirs, this verse supplements. It does not abrogate, it supplements, and we will come to this meaning in another video I'm going to make, but it supplements the verses from chapter 2, verse 190 to 194, I believe, where it says, "Fight those who fight you, but do not transgress limits, for God does not like aggressors. And then fight them, slay them, but if they repent and they want peace, etc., etc." This verse, meaning this one supplements those verses describing to only fight against those who are aggressing against you. And this will make sense because in verse 36 it says, "Verily the number of months with Allah is 12 months in a year. So was it ordained by Allah on the day when He created the heavens and the earth. Of them 4 are sacred. That is the right religion. That is the right religion. So wrong not yourselves therein. And fight against the pagans collectively as they fight against you collectively. But know that Allah is with those who are pious." So again, you can see from the clear-cut context, these verses are not invoking Muslims to fight pagans and kill any and all pagans. These verses are referring, as the context clearly states, to fight a defensive battle against the pagans who broke their covenants and their treaties with the Muslims and who are fighting collectively against them, and the Muslims should fight against them in self-defense. This again, verse 36 supplements, according to the scholars of Islam and the classical tafsirs, supplements verses chapter 2, verse 190 through 194, which unanimously agree to fight only those that are aggressive against you, and if they go towards peace, know that God is oft-forgiving, most merciful. We'll move on to part 2 of this video, which will deal with chapter 9, Surah 9, verses 29, the famous verses about the people of the book and how scholars view those subjects. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you all.